The Ninja Foodi grill and griddle that I've had for a few weeks now, and honestly, I already did a hamburger video, had it almost ready, but I just didn't like it. You know why? Because I learned a few things after using it a while, and I think I can help you with it. And take my word, a grill and griddle, a hamburger is one of the main things most people are going to do with it, and including myself. And we're going to do from frozen. There's my frozen burgers right there. That's some I make myself and freeze them individually. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do that. And then here is fresh burgers that we're going to cut and do that also. And even hoop cheese. You know, if you watch my channel, how much I love it. Some things I've bought, and some of them I've used, and some of them I didn't like. I'm going to explain all that. So we're going to kind of get some of this out of the way. We're even going to throw some Bubba Burgers on there and do what they say for it. But tonight, to kind of get this started, and again, I've already done this video, so some of it may be thrown in from my previous video. Some of the cuts may go in like that. But anyhow, tonight we're going to take one of those frozen burgers right there, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do quite often, more than I probably should, but it makes an excellent hamburger. You're about to see that. Let's get it started. Okay, so right quick, to show you how I get these, because this is what I do 90% of the time. And you can see they are separated, and they're frozen individually, and you have to kind of pay a little attention to what you're doing with that, or if not, there'll be a brick in there, and if I leave them sitting out too long, they'll do that also. But here's all I do. I just gauge about an inch, and this will be in the end when it might be off a little bit, but here's what I'm just going to show you the basics, and we're not going to get real far. I actually had this maybe a little more detailed in my other video, but this is pretty much self-explanatory for 90% of the people that watch my videos. We're just going to do 4 right now because I may make spaghetti with the rest of that, but that's how simple it is. That's what I do. Now, I do remove this now. And the reason being, because if you freeze that on there, it's very easy to forget it's there. You won't see it when it's frozen, and when you try and cook it, it'll make a mess. But now I usually use a bigger sheet pan, and I just have a place in my freezer that I set these like this right here overnight. And we're going to leave that one. In fact, I'm going to use that as a cap on there, and I'm going to put that in a Ziploc bag, and maybe spaghetti, or, well, we'll probably cook fresh burgers off of that tomorrow night. I want to do frozen first because I think that is what I do most of the time. But in other words, the bigger the sheet pan, the better, or whatever you want to freeze it on. Now, you'll see, I'll try and bring these out, remember to bring them out and show you how I thaw them. Sometimes you kind of got to just get the bottom of it warm so they'll turn loose, but it's no big deal. Set that in your freezer without them touching, and then you'll have something you can do that right there with very soon, or by the next day. But anyhow, I'm going to put these in the freezer and I'll be back. Here's the ones I froze last night. Now, I will say they are stuck to the pan, but it's no big deal. You can let it sit there just a minute and then turn it loose, or do what I did with this one, which was I take a warm sponge. In fact, I'll do it right quick. I already got the water fairly warm. You know, I take like a warm sponge with some water on it, and then I'll just rub the bottom underneath the hamburger, and that's how easy it comes loose. Now, you might have to do it more than once, but probably not. There you go. Now, put those in a Ziploc bag, and you have the best frozen hamburger that you're going to get out of something like that right there. All right here is how I cook hamburgers most of the time. The reason I like this so much is because they don't go bad. They're in the freezer. They're good for, I don't know how long, a long time. We're going to cook one of these burgers. You can see it's still solid. We're going to set it right there. Now, tomorrow night, we'll do griddle. Now, there's some issues with the, well, not issues, but I'm going to explain it tomorrow. But I bought some of these things to try. We're going to see what happens. I'll say tomorrow. It'll be a few seconds on the video. But anyhow, when I cook them tomorrow night. And then this, we may not use, I may not try and do smash burgers. There's plenty of videos on it. I will throw this under the bus right quick. I did not like this. It's made by Cuisinart, and I love all of their products, and I got no problem with most of them. But this, maybe somebody's used it, and they can say what to do with it better than I. But it's supposed to make something like that, a hamburger bowl. But when I did it, this part that ends up right here is in a cup, and you can't really brown that. But maybe I'm doing it wrong. So if somebody got an idea, please, by all means, tell me. And this, I got this. I bought none of this. I haven't used this, and I haven't used this on this device. Now, I've done smash burgers before, but never on this. So get off with all this. Here's what you got to do with a frozen burger. I'm going to move these out of the way. They call for it in this book right here to cook a frozen burger. And if you look it up, I'm 99% sure. If it says in here somewhere, it says closed hood cooking for a frozen burger, right there it is. It wants 6 patties, 1 inch thick. Now, that's a frozen burger, and I don't see many of them like that except the ones I make. And but that's what I have, about a 1 inch thick. It wants medium heat, 10 to 15 minutes, and flip halfway through. Well, I'm going to flip it halfway through, but I didn't find medium worked well for me. What I do is I hit temp, and I take it to low, and then I change the time to about 20 minutes. That's going to be close. It won't be off bad, but I do 20 minutes. All right, then you have to start it and skip preheat. If you don't, this device will go into, it'll say add food. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the feature it does that because its feature, if you're preheating this unit and you don't tell it to skip preheat, it will stay in add food for like 10 minutes, which is good if you're trying to do something else and you wanting to preheat it. But if you're doing a frozen burger, or let me say it like this. When I do frozen burgers, I do this right here. I got it on low. I got it set to 20. I close it. I hit start, and it says preheat, and I press that to cancel it. It says add food. I raise the lid, set it back down. Now it's already counting. Now I'm going to get, while it's trying to preheat, it's also cooking, in other words. But it gives me about 20 minutes, and that way it would turn off, if something went on. But otherwise, if you don't press that preheat, when it hits add food, it just keeps running, which is a good thing, again, in some items, but not this particular cook. So maybe that'll tell you a little bit about how they work. But anyhow, we're going to get this done. Once it says flip or so, I'm going to show it to you. It'll have good marks on it like all hamburgers should have, and it works real well. I'll be back. Okay, so we're coming up on when it's going to tell me to flip, I'm pretty sure, or the 10-minute mark. But one thing I want to say, because I keep forgetting to say it, is that I've owned other Ninja grills, and this one, it just doesn't smoke. I mean, I haven't had any issue with smoking. Now, I know I'm running low heat, but you know what? I'm going to show you what temp that griddle is. We're going to press it a little bit and then flip it over. And that's what I normally do. Every cook's a little different, but that's what I expect. And I'm going to let it count down to see if it tells me to flip. And it does. So we're going to take a look at the readings. 330 degrees on that griddle, or on that. I pressed it a little hard, but I'm going to put it back together. It will not hurt. And then you can see those marks. Now, I'm going to move it over to the fresh part of the grill where maybe it'll get a little more stripe because that was heated. I mean, it's cooled a little bit because that frozen burger's been sitting on it. But I don't need to tell you all that. And we're back running. So we're going to see what the temp is inside the burger with what I think everybody should have, an instant read thermometer, and see how it is when it's done. All right, here we are at the last 5 seconds, and again, no smoke, none. I haven't had this machine smoke. Now that doesn't mean it won't, but we got to check temps. I'm probably going to press that down a little bit, but let's see what it is. 134, which, let's see what we get. I saw 134. Be honest with you, that's probably where I would eat it. But, you know, the USDA or somebody, FDA or somebody, recommends 165. So, you know what? I'm going to let it rest. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set it right here on this plate and just see what it rests out in, say, 5 minutes. And it is 108. So at 113, we're going to take a read. Be back. Okay, it is 113. Let's see what our temps are. I got 147, 148, 149. I am good with that. Now, if you really want the 165, I would say add, 2 or 3, 4 minutes. I don't know. But let's see what it looks like in the center. And right there it is. And that looks pretty good to me. I'll guarantee it to be better than any fast food restaurant you can drive to. I mean, look at the thickness too. It's a hamburger. It's not a patty, So all mine ever get is some salt, and that's it. And honestly, I probably should have done that the minute I pulled it out. Truth is, usually when I pull it out, I start cutting up, eating it. But now, I'm not saying you should. You should wait on the, whoever it is, again, USDA, FDA, whoever, to, to get to the temps they recommend. And it could mean a lot. I don't always, but that doesn't mean I'm right. But right here. $80-20 gram chuck. From your freezer to your plate, 20-25 minutes. And they will last in your freezer a long, long time. So to kind of finish this one up, right there's what you get on runoff. I don't know if I can show you anything else, but I mean, you get some stuff here, and then there's a decent amount of fat, kind of like the Presto I had when I was a kid that made hamburgers. It does the same thing. The fat runs off. I think it's a good idea. And anyhow, this one's done. The frozen burger's done. And tomorrow night, or in a few seconds on this video, we're going to do a fresh one. I'm going to do some things like this, maybe, and some cheese and all, and put it on a bun. And I just found out how to pronounce that. Artisano. No, it's not. It's artisano. I just saw a commercial on it. I never knew how to pronounce it. But these right here are good too. I ain't got to tell you that. I even got pickles and cheese we're going to do tomorrow night. But see y'all then. Okay, it is the next night, and as promised, I'm going to cook a fresh hamburger that's not frozen. There's what we had left of my 80-20 gram chuck. I'm going to cut about a 1-inch thick, which is around a half a pound, or 8-ounce hamburger. That's what I shoot for. That's what I like. And we're going to use the griddle. And I really love the way, like a lot of people have a Blackstone, they call it, or an outdoor griddle. And I got one. Mine's not a Blackstone, but I love what it does to a hamburger. It just puts a good finish on the bottom. It kind of gives it that caramelization and all, and that's what we're shooting for. Now, I've already done it once with using this same device right here. And let's see, I thought I had it on the right page. And right here is what I used. I used their instructions, which were beef burgers. And now they do call for a 3 to 4 ounce, which I'm probably going to have around 8 ounces. But they want 400 degrees and, 10 to 15 minutes, which that won't be accurate because mine's twice as heavy, obviously. But what I ran into the other night, and the reason I'm doing this and doing it a little bit different and we're learning together, is because when I put it on, and by the time it got done, I had splatter. More than I want for inside my house. I'll put it like that. It even got back in here, grease splatter. And, it's kind of to be expected on a flat top, but, I'm trying to eliminate some of it. So that's what I bought these for, and that's what we're going to be using tonight. And I got those off of Amazon. I don't have links on my page, but it's simple to find. In fact, you can probably find them in a lot of different brands. But I'm going to, depending on how much it's splattering, I may set that on there to try and control some of that splatter. The reason being, a lot of people would use this to melt cheese, I guess, but I'm not. If I want to melt that cheese, I'm going to drop this top and hit air fry for a minute, and that'll melt the cheese once it gets close to being done. Now, I don't know I'm going to put cheese on this one tonight because I'm really learning, trying to control that grease splatter. That's what this is about. So anyhow, I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to show you how long this thing sits in the add food mode. So I'm going to start it up. I'm not going to use 400 degrees. I think that's a little hot for maybe my thickness of a hamburger. I'm going to use 350. I'm going to set it to griddle right here, barbecue griddle. I'm going to change the temp to 350. I'm going to, you have to close the lid for preheat, and it'll show you to right there. I'm going to close the lid. We're preheating at 350. I'm going to hit start, and that'll tell us the entire time, because really what I want you to see is how long. It's a good thing, again. I love it that it does that, because you got time to do other things while it is sitting waiting on you to add the food. But that's why I mentioned it last night. You don't want to leave it on there with, you know, if you don't want to preheat, you want to make sure you turn it off, because it will stay there a long time. But anyhow, we're running timer. I'm going to get this ready, and we'll get to 350, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show is it does give you LED readout of about where you're at on the preheat. So we're getting fairly close, and I'm watching. Oh, there it went, right there, perfect timing, at 7 minutes and 17 seconds. So we're going to let it run all the way to where it cuts off. And once it cuts off, that'll tell you, take away 7 minutes and tell you how long it stays on the add food mark. But I'll be back. If it doesn't cut off at 17:17, I will do something different, but let's see. There it goes. 10 minutes. And I love, again, I've said it 50 times, but I like that because I can be doing something else. This is preheated, and even if it stays off for a few minutes, when you want to use it again, you literally just turn it on, go back to your settings you already had, which we're going to go back to 350, and it's already preheated, so you could actually cook on it right now. But the other thing is, if you're not going to right now, it's already pretty close, in other words. But anyhow, I'm going to get off of that. I'm going to put these up, and we're going to get this started as soon as that gets back to ready. We'll see. All right. It took it a minute to come back to add food, but not quite that long. I've been doing other things, but long story short, this is about a 7-ounce hamburger. So we're going to put it on, and it's 350, and we're going to see just how it acts. And I was fixing to close the lid because I want to do this with the lid up. I have to pull that down to get it to work. So I'm going to cook it lid up. We're going to run it, and when it starts, if it starts doing a lot of splattering, I'm going to put that lid on. But if it gives me a lot of trouble, and what I'll always probably do anyhow, I just run it with the lid down. It's not a big deal. I just want to be able to cook with it open. No good reason, but anyhow, I'll be back. All right, I wanted to show you a little bit about how it's looking, because it is getting a little splatter already, and you can see we're about, well, 3 minutes in, but you can see right here. So this is my plan, and I'm going to press it a little bit. I can't imagine that hurting, and I'm just going to press it a little bit and cover it up. And again, we are learning together, but hopefully I'm going to reduce some of that, because it was way more than that before with the 400 degrees. It was out here, maybe not by now, but it got there. We're trying to prevent that. All right, it's been on about 6 minutes, and I agree, this kind of takes away from the open, you know, what you're doing it for, I guess, but it probably just as good to do air fry. And this may be a little wasteful. I just did want you to see some of my dilemma I've had with it, or some of my things that I wasn't crazy about, which was a splatter. Now, they say don't take them outside. I hear that all the time. But I mean, if you're under something covered, you could do it outside and do whatever you wanted to do right here. You could fry hamburgers at 400 degrees or whatever, but to be honest with you, that caramelization right there looks pretty good. I'm going to press that down just a little bit. But you can also see that although I've got this lid on there, just kind of steaming the burger, and there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest with you. I'm anxious to see how it's going to be. But it did cut down on that, it looks like. So I'm going to leave it on there, and hopefully y'all get something from this, maybe. But anyhow. Okay, we're coming up on the 10-minute mark. I did raise it one other time and pressed it a little bit, but we're fixing to take some temp readings. And again, I think this did cut down, and you know what? It doesn't look bad. Let's see what we got though as far as temp. Yeah, we're pretty close to being all I want. I'm going to press it. Yeah, we're there. And considerably, I did get a little bit here. I maybe look back on the tape to see, or look back on the video to see if that was there before I put the dome on. I don't know. But we're plenty hot enough, so I'm going to take this burger out. I'm actually going to put it on the side I like the looks of best. And I'm going to turn that off. Well, I thought it was. Yeah, there it went. So I'm going to let that rest just a minute. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and set some cheese on it. Because if I go back with I may set it back in there once it sits here a minute. See how the cheese does. And then just hit it with some air fry right quick. But I'll be back. All right, I realize you can't see all the numbers on that right there, but we're pretty close. I am going to put this back in there right quick, hit it with some air fry for just a second. It's not going to hurt, in my opinion. So we'll turn it on. We'll move it to air crisp and 390. You know what? We'll take it on to. Whoops! I pressed the wrong button evidently. We'll take it to 450 and hit start and see exactly what happens in about, I don't know, I'll give it a couple of minutes and we'll be watching it. All right, it's been in there just a couple of minutes. Let's see what it looks like. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. I went ahead and put, about the only thing I put on them, other than salt sometimes, is mayonnaise. So I'm going to dress this up, let it sit there on that bun, let that bun soak it up a minute. And maybe put a little lettuce and all on this. So anyhow, I'm gonna get it ready and make some pictures. I'll be back, but you can see there ain't nothing wrong with it so far. Okay, there is the finished product. A little mayonnaise, hoop cheese, half pound or 7-ounce hamburger on the flat top. And you can forget me talking for a minute, but I want you to see the inside of that burger. And I went some lettuce in the floor, but it looks good. It is good. You won't beat it. You can drive to your best restaurant. Maybe it's as good. It won't be any better. I can't talk. We're going to do some other things before this is over. Even I may add some stuff I've already done, but anyhow, that worked all right. I mean, it probably worked just as best with that down and just air fry the hamburger, even on the grill. But that worked pretty good, and I'm sure that would work for smash burgers. But anyhow, getting long on it. Hoop cheese and a half-pound hamburger. I love it. I'll see what's coming, what I'm going to put in here next, but I'll figure it out and I'll see y'all in a minute. But anyhow, here's what the grill chart calls for in here for frozen beef. It wants a 1-inch burger. Well, I've never seen a frozen 1-inch burger other than the ones I have. But medium temp, 20, I jumped lines. 10 to 15 minutes, flip halfway through. All right, well, I'm going to do that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, this just so you'll know, just full disclosure, Bubba says 325, but the main thing it says is watch for, where did I see it? Internal temperature is 161, but it says don't mess with it until you see juices on top, and don't press it. So that's what we're about to do. I'm going to preheat it to what they call for in here, which I think was medium, but I'm about to get that started. I'm not even going to clean it out. We're going to go from there. Okay, it just said add food. So what we're going to do is raise it. Now this is a closed lid cook, and again, I didn't clean it out. But we're going to put that one there, and they are rather noisy. We're going to put that there. I'm going to hit start right here. We're going to look for it to be puddling on the top, as they said, or however how they worded it, and then we're going to check temps. I'll see y'all then. Okay, so I did a 10-minute cook. Now it asked for about 10 to 15 minutes and flip halfway through. We're just going to offer that in a minute, but this also said to make sure or see if it was puddling, I guess, or juices on top. So we're going to look, and I mean, there's a little bit of juices right there. We're going to let it go. So we'll be back. Okay, I've got a feeling it's going to tell me to flip at 5 minutes, and Bubba said wait till, or his box said wait till its juices are, you know, visible on top. Well, we're going to see, and there it is. Let's see. And there are some. You know what? I'll go along with that. We'll go ahead and flip it, and they look pretty good. Lid back down. We're off again. Okay, we're really close to the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to raise the lid, which I hope will stop the clock, and it does. And they look pretty good. I'm going to take a temp read. Uh-oh. Google thinks I'm talking to it. 105, 114. What I'm going to do is just scoot them back a little bit. I may even flip them one more time, and then we're going to add, I don't know, 5 minutes and then kind of watch it. But, well, you can see them. They look good. There's no doubt. But, uh-oh, it's about to run out of time. And did I get it? I did. We're going to add 5 minutes. And there we go. So, I'll be back. Okay, we're coming up on the last of the Bubba Burger cooks at medium heat now, by the way, and 15 minutes of cook time. And let's just see what they look like. And that one did slide down. Some people have had problems, or I've heard of problems with it sliding, or the product coming down, or whatever you're cooking sliding down that. I don't think it's from the tilt. I think it's because that surface is so slick. It is very slick. Now, it's got a tilt on it, don't get me wrong, but it's not that aggressive, or I didn't think. It's just really slick. Let's see what we got as we pull it out. 161, 162. Well, we're hitting 165. But anyhow, we're right what Bubba wants, or maybe a little past. There's 163. So we're not far past what Bubba wants, and I'm going to turn this one over because it'll probably look, well, you can see right here, and they're hot, but I can handle them. That's a Bubba Burger. Now, I mean, that's out of your freezer. That side looks a little dry maybe, but and you easily fixed. That's 15 minutes, or total 16 minutes right now. And, hey, I love hamburgers, and I eat them way more than I should. You saw what I had. And I was going to cook one of my thicker ones, but my frozen ones, I did cook them from fresh, but I keep them frozen because I eat them a lot. And that's why I love air fryers, because they make that kind of stuff work. But anyhow, there's your Bubba Burger, and there's what it looks like. And I'll even cut into it, and we'll take a look at it inside. I was almost fixing to sign off, but I want you to see the inside of it. See if I can find some kind of knife to cut it with. Right here. And I've eaten them more than once. There's nothing wrong with them. I'll say it. I eat them quite often, or I did for a long time before I started making my own. But I mean, we see how simple they are. right out of your freezer. They don't, you know, like they're going to go bad in the refrigerator. They're frozen. But anyhow, this thing works real good. I'm not sure I would leave it on my counter all the time. I didn't think that in the beginning, and I didn't the other grill that Ninja makes. But this has so many different things that, you know, it's possible. I'll leave it like that. I do like a drawer type air fryer, or actually I'm big on the toaster style, and I'm chewing and eating. But anyhow, it has a lot of advantages, and it air fries, and it does hamburgers and steaks really well. And if you get this version, it does that too. So anyhow, y'all come back to see me. Thanks for watching the video. I love y'all all, and y'all have a good night.